The Lotus Sutra, Chapter 2, Skillful Means. At that time, the Bhagavat arose tranquilly with insight out of samadhi and addressed Sariputra, quote, "Profound and immeasurable is the wisdom of the Buddhas. The gate to their wisdom is hard to enter and difficult to understand. None of the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas may be capable of understanding it. Why is this? The Buddhas have closely attended innumerable hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of other Buddhas. They have exhaustively carried out practices with courage and persistence under uncountable numbers of Buddhas, their names becoming universally renowned. They have perfected this profound and unprecedented Dharma, and their intention in adapting their explanations to what is appropriate is difficult to understand. O Sariputra, after attaining Buddhahood, I expounded the teaching extensively, with various explanations and illustrations, and with skillful means led sentient beings to rid themselves of their attachments. Why is this? Because all the Tathagatas have attained perfect mastery of skillful means, wisdom, and insight. O Sariputra, the wisdom and insight of the Tathagatas is extensive, profound, immeasurable, and unhindered. They are possessed of power, fearlessness, meditation, liberation, and samadhi that is profound and endless. They have completely attained this unprecedented Dharma. O Sariputra, the Tathagatas can, through various methods, skillfully illuminate the Dharma with gentle speech and gladden the hearts of the assemblies. O Sariputra, to put it briefly, the Buddhas have attained this immeasurable, limitless, and unprecedented Dharma. Enough, O Sariputra, I will speak no further. Why is this? Because the Dharma that the Buddhas have attained is foremost, unique, and difficult to understand. No one but the Buddhas can completely know the real aspect of all Dharmas. That is to say, their character, nature, substance, potential, function, cause, condition, result, effect, and essential unity. Thereupon the Bhagavat spoke these verses to explain this meaning again, quote, "The heroes of the world are inconceivable. Neither devas, humans, nor any other sentient beings are able to comprehend them. No one is able to discern the power, fearlessness, liberation, samadhi, and other attributes of the Buddhas. Formerly, under innumerable Buddhas, they have fully accomplished their practices and the Dharma, which is profound and excellent, hard to perceive, and difficult to understand. Having pursued these practices for innumerable kotis of kalpas, I attained the result on the terrace of enlightenment and understood completely. I and the Buddhas of the 10 directions know such matters, such as the great results and rewards, and the meaning of various aspects and characteristics. It is impossible to explain this Dharma. The powers of speech fail. No other sentient being is able to understand it, except for those bodhisattvas who, in their belief, are willing to understand. Even the multitude of the Buddhist disciples, who have formerly paid homage to all the Buddhas, who have put an end to all their corruption, and are burying their last bodies, are not able to understand it. Even if this whole world were filled with those such as Sariputra, and they tried together to comprehend it, they still would not be able to understand completely the wisdom of the Buddhas. Again, Even if the worlds of the 10 directions were filled with such disciples as Sariputra, and they tried together to comprehend it, they still would not be able to completely understand. And even if the world of the 10 directions were filled with Pratyeka Buddhas, as numerous as bamboo trees in a grove, who had keen wisdom and were bearing their last bodies, free from corruption, even if they tried together single-mindedly for innumerable kalpas to comprehend the wisdom of the Buddhas, still they would not understand it in the least. Even if the worlds of the 10 directions were packed as thick as stalks of rice, flax, bamboo, and reeds, with bodhisattvas, recent aspirants to enlightenment, who had paid homage to innumerable Buddhas, though they fully understood the meaning and could expound the Dharma, even with this subtle wisdom, if they tried together single-mindedly to comprehend for as many kalpas as the sands of the Ganges River, they still would not be able to know the wisdom of the Buddhas. Even if bodhisattvas, as numerous as the sands of the Ganges rivers, who had reached the stage of non-retrogression, tried together single-mindedly to comprehend it, still they would not be able to know. The Buddha, still speaking to Sariputra, said, quote, I have already attained the profound and subtle Dharma that is incorruptible and beyond all comprehension. Only I and the Buddhas of the 10 directions know this. O Sariputra, you should know that the words of the Buddhas are never inconsistent. You should trust fully in the Dharma that the Buddha expounds. The Dharma of the Bhagavat has been in existence for a long time. I will now definitely expound the truth. I address myself to the Shravakas and those seeking the Pratyeka Buddha vehicle. It was I who caused them to become free from the bondage of suffering and to attain nirvana. I have revealed the teaching of the 3 vehicles with the power of the skillful means of the Buddhas, so as to set free the sentient beings from their various human attachments. At that time, it occurred to the great assembly of 1,200 Shravakas, arhats free from corruption, beginning with Ajnata Kaundinya and the other monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen who had set out to become Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, quote, Why has the Bhagavan just now so earnestly praised skillful means? For what reason has he declared that the Dharma that the Buddhas have attained is very profound and difficult to understand? Why has he said that their intention in adapting their teaching to what is appropriate is so difficult to comprehend, and that all the Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas are not able to understand it? As long as the Buddha taught the meaning of the single liberation, we thought we had attained that Dharma and achieved nirvana, but now we do not understand what he means. At that time, Sariputra, aware of the confusion of the 4-fold assemblies, and himself also feeling confused, addressed the Buddha, saying, quote, O Bhagavat, for what reason and on what grounds have you so earnestly praised the unique skillful means of the Buddhas and the profound and subtle Dharma that is difficult to understand? Never before have I heard such a thing from the Buddha. Now, Bhagavat, I entreat you to explain this, because the 4-fold assemblies are confused. O Bhagavat, why have you so earnestly praised the Dharma that is profound, subtle, and difficult to understand? Thereupon, Sariputra, wanting to further explain what he meant, spoke these verses, quote, O great seer, son of wisdom, now, after a long time, you have taught this Dharma, saying, quote, I have attained the inconceivable Dharma, that is to say, power, fearlessness, samadhi, meditation, and liberation. No one has ever questioned the Dharma that I attained on the terrace of enlightenment. No one has ever questioned my intentions, so difficult to conceive. Close quote. Without being asked, you explained it by yourself and praised the path you have practiced, saying, quote, the wisdom of the Buddhas have attained is extremely subtle. Close quote. The Arhats, free from corruption, and those seeking nirvana, have fallen into confusion. Why has the Buddha said this? Those seeking to become Pratyeka Buddhas, monks, nuns, devas, nagas, yaksas, Gandharvas, and the others, glanced at each other in confusion, and, looking toward the best of humans, asked, quote, O Buddha, we entreat you to explain why this is so. Close quote. The Buddha has said that I am the foremost among the Shravakas, yet now I am confused about my own knowledge and unable to understand. Is it the ultimate Dharma? Is it a path to be practiced? The sons born from the mouths of the Buddhas stand waiting with palms pressed together, looking at the Buddha. I entreat you to proclaim the truth, speaking in the finest voice. The Devas, Nagas, and others, as numerous as the sands of the Ganges River, as many as 80,000 bodhisattvas who are seeking Buddhahood, and noble emperors who have come from myriads of kotis of countries, are all standing respectfully with palms pressed together, asking how to accomplish the path. Then the Buddha addressed Sariputra, saying, quote, Enough, enough, speak no more. If I explained this matter, the devas and humans in all the worlds would be astounded. Then Sariputra again addressed the Buddha, quote, O Bhagavat, please explain it. I entreat you to explain it, because in this assembly there are innumerable hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of incalculable sentient beings, sharp in faculties and possessed of wisdom, who have previously encountered the Buddhas. When they hear the teaching of the Buddha, they will trust, believe, and accept it. And thereupon, Sariputra spoke in verse to explain this again, quote, O King of the Dharma, the best of humans, I entreat you to explain it. Please explain it without hesitation. In this assembly there are innumerable sentient beings who will trust and accept it. Then the Buddha again tried to dissuade Sariputra, saying, quote, If I explain it, the devas, humans, and asuras in all the worlds will be astounded, and arrogant monks will certainly go to their downfall. At that time, the Bhagavat spoke again in verse. Enough, enough, speak no more. The Dharma that I have attained is excellent and incomprehensible. Though the arrogant hear it, they will never accept it. And again Sariputra addressed the Buddha, saying, quote, O Bhagavat, please explain it. Please explain it. In this assembly there are people like me and others, numbering into the hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of beings who have been led and inspired by the Buddhas in their former existences. Such people will certainly trust, believe, and accept it, and they will benefit, profit, and receive solace from it for a very long time. Thereupon, Sariputra spoke these verses to elaborate on what he meant. Quote, O best of humans, please teach the ultimate Dharma. I am the eldest son of the Buddha. Please illuminate and explain it. Innumerable beings in this assembly will certainly trust and accept this Dharma, because the Buddha in former existences led and inspired such people. All of them will attentively listen and accept, their palms pressed together, to the words of the Buddha. I entreat you to illuminate and explain it for the assembly of 1,200 people like me, and the others seeking Buddhahood. When they hear this Dharma, they will bring forth great joy. Then the Bhagavat spoke to Sariputra, saying, You have now persistently asked me 3 times. How could I possibly not explain it to you? Therefore, listen carefully and pay close attention. I will now illuminate and explain it. When he said this, 5,000 monks, nuns, laymen, and laywomen in the assembly immediately got up from their seats, bowed to the Buddha, and left. What was the reason for this? Because the roots of error among this group had been deeply planted, and they were arrogant, thinking they had attained what they had not attained, and had realized what they had not realized. Because of such defects, they did not stay, and the Bhagavat remained silent and did not stop them. Then the Buddha addressed Sariputra, quote, "My assembly here is free of useless twigs and leaves. Only the pure essence remains. O Sariputra, let the arrogant ones go. Listen carefully, and I will explain it to you." Then Sariputra replied, "Indeed, O Bhagavat, I greatly desire to hear it." Then the Buddha addressed Sariputra, quote, "Only very rarely do the Buddha Tathagatas teach such a true Dharma as this, as rarely as the Adambara flower blooms. O Sariputra, trust and accept what the Buddha teaches. My words are never false. O Sariputra, the real intention of all the Buddhas in adapting their explanations to what is appropriate is difficult to understand. Why is this? Because I have expounded the teachings with innumerable skillful means and various kinds of explanations and illustrations. Yet this Dharma is beyond reason and discernment. Only the Buddhas can understand it. Why is this? Because the Buddha Bhagavats appear in this world for one great purpose alone. O Sariputra, now I will explain why I said that the Buddha Bhagavats appear in this world for only one great purpose. The Buddha Bhagavat appear in this world to cause sentient beings to aspire toward purity and the wisdom and insight of the Buddhas. They appear in this world to manifest the wisdom and insight of the Buddhas to sentient beings. They appear in this world to cause sentient beings to attain the wisdom and insight of a Buddha's enlightenment. They appear in this world in order to cause sentient beings to enter the path of the wisdom and insight of a Buddha. O Sariputra, for this one great reason alone, the Buddhas have appeared in this world. The Buddha addressed Sariputra saying, quote, "The Buddha Tathagatas lead and inspire only bodhisattvas. All the acts of a Buddha are always for one purpose. The Buddhas manifest their wisdom and insight solely to inspire sentient beings to enlightenment. O Sariputra, a Tathagata teaches sentient beings the Dharma only through the single Buddha vehicle. There is no other, neither a second nor a third. O Sariputra, the true nature of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions is exactly like this. O Sariputra, all the Buddhas of the past expounded the teachings for the sake of sentient beings using incalculable and innumerable skillful means and various explanations and illustrations. These teachings were all for the sake of the single Buddha vehicle. All these sentient beings, hearing the Dharma from the Buddhas, finally attained omniscience. O Sariputra, all the future Buddhas who will appear in the world will expound the teachings for the sake of sentient beings, using incalculable and innumerable skillful means and various explanations and illustrations. These teachings will all be for the single Buddha vehicle. All sentient beings who hear this Dharma from these Buddhas will ultimately attain omniscience. O Sariputra, all the Buddha Bhagavats of the present and immeasurable hundreds of thousands of myriads of kotis of Buddha worlds of the 10 directions teach the Dharma to sentient beings using incalculable and innumerable skillful means with various explanations and illustrations to benefit many of them and cause them to feel at peace. These Dharmas are all of the single Buddha vehicle. all the sentient beings who hear the Dharma from these Buddhas will ultimately attain omniscience. O Sariputra, these Buddhas lead and inspire only bodhisattvas because they want to teach sentient beings with the wisdom and insight of the Buddha, to enlighten sentient beings with the wisdom and insight of the Buddha, and to cause sentient beings to enter the path of the wisdom and insight of the Buddha. O Sariputra, I too am now like this. Having understood the various desires and deep-rooted inclinations of sentient beings, I teach the Dharma according to their capacities through the power of skillful means, using various explanations and illustrations. O Sariputra, I do this in order to cause them to attain the omniscience of the single Buddha vehicle. O Sariputra, since there is no second vehicle in the worlds of the 10 directions, how could there be a third? O Sariputra, the Buddhas appear in the world of the 5 defilements, which are the defilement of the kalpa, the defilement through desire's confusion, the defilement of sentient beings, the defilement of views, and the defilement of lifespan. Therefore, O Sariputra, in the period of the decadent kalpa, because sentient beings are filthy, greedy, jealous, and develop roots of error, all the Buddhas illuminate the 3 vehicles with the power of skillful means in order to teach the single Buddha vehicle. O Sariputra, if any of my disciples declare that they are arhats or pratyeka Buddhas and do not listen or comprehend that all the Buddha Tathagatas teach only the bodhisattvas, they are not disciples of the Buddhas, nor are they arhats or pratyeka Buddhas. Again, O Sariputra, if there are any monks or nuns who would declare that they have attained arhatship, that they are bearing their last bodies and are destined for complete nirvana, and yet who have not sought highest complete enlightenment, they should be considered arrogant people, because there is no case in which a monk who has actually achieved arhatship does not believe in this Dharma, except after the Buddha has entered parinirvana and there is no Buddha present. What is the reason for this? Because after the parinirvana of the Buddha, it is hard to find people who preserve, recite, and understand the meaning of the sutras like this. But if they should meet other Buddhas, they will immediately understand this teaching. O Sariputra, you should wholeheartedly accept and preserve the words of the Buddha. The words of the Buddha Tathagatas are never false. There are no other vehicles, only the single Buddha vehicle.